Hello, welcome back to another session on semantics. Now we will look at taxonomy, another kind of lexical relations. The material for this topic is mainly taken from Nick Riemer's book Introducing Semantics, Chapter 5, Section 5.1.4. As a recap, after we did a mid-test last week, we have looked at antonymy, meronymy, and hyponymy as the other kind of lexical relations. Hyponymy, in particular, has close relation to taxonomy. We have defined hyponymy as a kind of relation that particularly captures hierarchical class inclusion relations. I've illustrated that with the relation between sports car and vehicle, where sports car can be said to be the hyponym of car. Sports car, in other words, is a kind of car, and car is in turn a kind of vehicle. And hyponymy also has relevance to cross-cultural communication and communicative function in general. If you remember the wasabi example where we use the superordinate terms such as condiment and modify it with horseradish into horseradish condiment to describe wasabi, uh, we try to achieve our communicative function cross-culturally to describe wasabi in English, because wasabi is made of a plant that has similar taste like horseradish, but this plant is stronger. Yeah, it has stronger taste than horseradish. The communicative function for hyponymy is illustrated with the sackbut example. The sliding trombone. You don't know that the name of this specific musical instrument, and you try to use the hyperonym, the superordinate term of this musical instrument, and modify it with other adjectives such as weird that you think best describe sackbut. You think it is a weird musical instrument. Okay, and we have also looked at how hyponymic knowledge is implicit in the semantic organization of grammar as indicated or illustrated by classifier system. So classifier is a word that follows another word, especially noun, that try to classify those nouns into certain types. So classifier, different classifier will have different forms for certain types of nouns. So there are different forms for classifiers that goes with nouns of human types. There are different form of classifiers that goes with nouns of non-human types, for instance. And lastly, we also discuss issue in defining hyponymy more precisely, especially because kind of can be used in two different sense. In the strict sense, it covers the hyponymic proper definition, namely hierarchy, but in a looser sense, in a more loose sense, it refers to comparison for explanatory purpose. So you use kind of to help someone to understand something by comparing two different things, like when someone doesn't know or your friend doesn't know what a koala is. So you use a comparison between koala and a bear in a clause that has kind of phrase, such as koala is a kind of bear. Even though you know that strictly speaking, koala is not the hyponym of bear. Yeah, koala is a kind of marsupial, different kind of animal. And so the strict sense of kind of, namely the hierarchy defining class inclusion relation, is best demonstrated by taxonomy. Okay, what is taxonomy? It is hyponymic hierarchies for names of plants and animals. So this is the way we categorize, organize our natural words, natural things. Here is an example of 5-level taxonomy proposed by Berlin, who is a famous anthropologist. And Berlin argues that this taxonomy is universal. It is found in many different languages. Yeah, so the way we organize our natural words tend to follow this taxonomy. Okay, so we will go back to this taxonomy later on. Now I want to go back a bit more with the way kind of is used in relation to taxonomy. Yeah, there are relevant and irrelevant uses of kind of in relation to taxonomy. And these two examples, an excerpt of conversation, as well as this question. They are taken from Cruse 1986, Lexical Semantics. So this is a classic books for lexical semantics. If you are interested in it, you need to read this book. So imagine you are asked this sentence. Yeah, you are asked with this question. Sorry. In this question, you use this kind of phrase. Yeah, what kinds of animals did you see at the zoo? This kind of question expect answer that has to do with taxonomy of animals. Okay, but not the characteristic of the animal. So that's why when you are asked what kinds of animal did you see at the zoo? Oh, big ones, little ones. That kind of strange. But what they expect you to answer is something like this. Oh, what kind of animal did you see at the zoo? I saw lions, tigers, monkeys, zebras. Okay. But maybe when you are asked and you don't know the name, maybe you will use this characteristic to answer it. Okay. But ideally, these are the kind of answers that are expected from this question. Okay, so these are more relevant usage of kind of in relation to taxonomy. Now, this question, what kind of person is she? Okay, it is unlikely asking you about the hierarchy of person. Okay, you are not being asked about the hierarchy of person. Okay, unlikely asking about taxonomy, in other words. So in this case, the most probable answer would be something like, oh, she is reliable, she is nice, she is helpful. Okay, it asks you about characteristic of a person with the phrase kind of in this context. Yeah, so there are irrelevant and relevant usage of kind of in relation to taxonomy. And how are taxonomies distinguished from non-taxonomic hyponymies? So the non-taxonomic hyponymy allows you to replace the hyponym, the more specific term, such as here mare. Yeah, you can replace it with combination of superordinate, namely horse, and a modifier such as gender adjective female. So, well, for your information, female and male horse have their own names, and before reading this book, I also don't know that there is a name for female horse. I know stallion, but not mare. Okay, so in that kind of situation where you don't know what to call this female horse, well, mare, you can go with this superordinate term and some adjective describing a gender, such as female, and it is possible to do that. Yeah, combining superordinate term and modifier in non-taxonomic hyponymy. Okay, these are other examples that you can read. Okay, and we find this segbat example again from the previous video. Now, in taxonomy, it is not possible to do or to combine superordinate term and modifier to describe certain category. This example from Cruse, between animal and horse. If we see here, it is indeed a horse is the hyponym of animal, or animal is the hyperonym of horse. But then modifying animal with equine is a word that means resembling or related to horse. So when you combine this equine adjective to modify animal into equine animal, it does not refer to horse. Okay, animal that is related to horse or resembling to horse, a resembling horse is not a horse in itself. So equine animal is not the same with horse in the way male horse is the same with stallion, or female horse is the same with mare. Okay, it is no good to say equine animal to mean or refer to horse. You can't, because equine animal means resembling, only similar to horse, but not horse itself. Okay, so those are the difference between taxonomy and non-taxonomy hyponymies. Yeah, the taxonomy that is meant here is the idea of natural kinds. Here is another. Uh, Here is the diagram for 5-level taxonomy. And in this diagram, each of these 5 ranks, we have 5 rank, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each of these rank includes everything below it. So, for instance, um, swamp white oak is included in white oak. Okay, so swamp white oak is a kind of white oak, and white oak is a kind of oak. Okay, and oak is a kind of tree, and so on and so forth. So in other words, each in the hierarchy is one particular kind of the rank above it. So this is a particular kind of this is a particular kind of that, and so on and so forth. Okay, yeah. Now, we will look into further details each level. Okay, what does it mean? So in the level 0, namely the most inclusive level, namely unique beginner, in other words, kingdom. This includes categories such as plant and animal. Yeah, it is called level 0 because it is not usually verbalized. In other words, many languages may not have the word for categories in this level. Well, such as this one, not all languages have words that similar to English, plant, or animal. Itza, for example, a Mayan language in northern Guatemala, has no single word for plant, but it has a numeral classifier, namely tick, that is used with all and only nouns that refer to plants. Okay, no single word for referring to plants, but it has classifier, a system of a grammar that is used whenever it occurs with nouns that only refer to a plant. So in other words, we know that Itza culture has a cognitive representation of plant in their mind, but they don't have the words to express that. Okay, and that kind of knowledge is reflected in the grammar of this language, namely in the numeral classifier. Okay, and the next level, level 1, life form, is where categories like trees, grass, and vine for plant, or bird, fish, snake for animal can be found. Okay, and it is usually not so many. The generic level is where the categories can be found much more often. Yeah, there are many more examples of categories in this level. And usually generics level in most taxonomy, generic is the last level in the taxonomy. They may not, some taxonomy of things, they may not have any other level below generic. Okay, yeah, and a lexeme that refers to a unique beginner life form and generic levels. Yeah, the lexemes, word that refer to these first 3 levels, they are called primary lexemes. Just one word lexeme. Okay, such as plant, tree, oak, bird, and robin. Just a single word, not a combination of words. And also generic level, yeah, level 2, can be seen as the level of the ordinary names of things and creatures, such as cat, apple, car, church, cup, and so on. So these are the level of ordinary names for things and creatures, and down below it, you may have a specific types of these things. Okay, such as car, you may have more specific types of cars below this generic level of just car. Okay, you can have sports car, limousine, what else? VW, yeah. Okay, Volkswagen car, for instance. So generic level is just the ordinary names for things and creatures, and usually the level below generic, they are expressed by morphologically complex words and compound words. To express levels below generics are not so infrequent. Yeah, they are very common. Okay, and this compound word usually a combination of superordinate words and some modifier. such as this one. We have seen again white oak. Okay, this is a level below the generic, specific, and varietals. And we see that in this example for the plant hierarchy, white oak is combination of the superordinate form, okay, and some modifier, and so on and so forth. Yeah, white oak, a swarm white oak is a kind of white oak, and you use these superordinate terms in this level with some modifier. Okay, so that's a bit about taxonomy, more specific kind of hyponymy, and taxonomy usually deals with classification of our natural words. Okay, if you remember from the previous hyponymy lectures, we include things that are not really natural, such as musical instruments, jacket. Yeah, they are all artificial. They are all artifacts. But taxonomy mostly deals with natural kinds, plants, animals. Okay. Yeah, I hope you can follow along, and please email me if you have questions. And okay, have a good day. See you soon.